Hello, everyone. Welcome to HerPath, the podcast for busy women seeking a life full of health, happiness, and purpose. I was thinking about some of the topics that were really important for us to discuss, and something that kept coming to mind was, I'm sure, something that we've all felt multiple times, endless amounts of times, that keeps us from achieving some of the things that are super, super important to us. And that is that thought, fuck it. When your mind tells you fuck it, or when you want to say fuck it. And this is in regards to so many things. I was thinking about diets and healthy eating and lifestyle changes. And I know a lot of us have gotten to the point where when we're not seeing results, it's not coming fast enough, we're feeling deprived. We just want to say, fuck it. Or other situations I know that I've been in when in a relationship, sometimes a relationship can become complicated or it requires work. It just doesn't happen easily. And you feel like maybe you are putting a lot of work in it, and is it really worth it for you? And with regards to that relationship, sometimes you just want to say, fuck it. Or it's also happened to me with projects that I was really inspired to start. I don't know if you've ever started things and were really motivated and really excited about whatever project it was. I could name hundreds of projects for me, playing the guitar, learning a new language, some kind of arts and crafts thing that I was like really inspired to do. And then for whatever reason, I don't make the time for it. I get stuck on a part that it's just challenging for me to get past. I put it off, and it gets to the point where I just say, fuck it. That's it. But there are some times when you do need to say, fuck it. And that is a perfectly healthy and wonderful way to set a boundary for yourself, to protect yourself, to move on, to get yourself out of an overwhelming situation that may not be healthy. But I would say for me, the majority of the time when I want to say fuck it, or when I've actually done it, it has been for something that was really important to me, something that I was really wanting to achieve, and something that I regretted after abandoning it. So why do we do that? Why do we want to abandon, jump ship, stop when it gets hard with regard to anything? I'm sure you can think of a million things that you have just gotten to the point where you just wanted to abandon it and just to say, screw it, that's it. And a lot of the times it is because we don't have set a kind of idea or structure of what we're trying to attain. We don't set realistic expectations for ourselves for when it comes to those things. So I don't know. I wanted to chat with my success squad to kind of tackle this because I feel like this is something that is so common, and it just leaves us floundering when it comes to reaching some things or accomplishing some things that are really important for us, and leaves us full of regret whenever we do abandon some of these things that are important to us.
Yes, for sure. I think it's pretty normal. I think it's a sign that you're human. And I also think it's a sign that you just need to pause and take a deep breath. Maybe ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What do I need? I think we've lost sight of what we're doing in the first place. So maybe connecting with your deeper why. Why is this important? Why did I start this in the first place? Just getting really, really curious. Sometimes I think it comes from pushing or burnout. So just, I think it's an opportunity to get really curious with yourself. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's completely normal. How about you, Elise? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree that it's very normal. So our minds are always trying to protect us, right? So our mind wants us to be comfortable. Our mind wants us to be safe. And when we do hard things, there's usually risk involved in those things. And our mind is set up to protect us. So I that concept of fuck it. Like I live in that world, right? One of the reasons why I was such a good project manager is because you do a project and then you move on and you do something else. But like if you have to do something over and over and over again for, perpetuity, I love that, the exercise, the eating healthy foods, it it can be a grind and we are hardwired to say fuck it, right?
Hmm.
So I think this is an important concept, and I like, Nancy, what you said about it's an opportunity to pause and dig deeper and find out why. Why is my mind going there? Why am I fighting with myself? That's what I find myself doing. I'm fighting with myself. I know it's the right thing to do. I write a blog every week as part of my business. And there are times when I go to this cafe and I get my coffee with my laptop and I sit down to write and I'm like, oh, fuck it. Like there's nothing in me. Like, and there's never ending topics. And I know I'm good at it and I know it's important for my clients and for my business. But that opportunity to pause and go deeper. Well, why do I feel this way? And what does this mean? And how can I work around that? Because I think to your point, Gabby, it's important for us to acknowledge it, but then move on because it's usually stuff that's really good for us.
Right? I sometimes I notice myself feeling this way more when I'm depleted. When it's been a grind or I'll give you an example. Like after a long day of work, coming home, making dinner, and then, the 7-year-old doesn't like what you made to eat and is like, I don't want that. I don't want to eat that. Can I have some jelly beans instead? And so, there have been many, many times when I just said, yeah, just go ahead, have your jelly beans and have the chocolate milk, and that's going to be your dinner. And sometimes that comes from a play, kind of like a self-care place of compassion, because that is not a battle at that time that is so monumental that I really have to tackle. She's going to be fine, and she will eat veggies and proteins at some point, and it's okay. You can go ahead and have your jelly beans and I'm not going to make anything else. The kitchen is closed now, and so it's okay. It's not a big deal. So there are some instances when, it's okay to kind of, give yourself some grace, not be perfect in the moment and and just move on from there. Instead of, I love what you said, fighting with yourself, fighting with yourself, because what happens in the moment, like that's not healthy, that's not nutritious. You should be having proteins, you should be having vegetables, you should be having a certain amount of calories, and this is not good for her brain. And then you start snowballing onto all of the things that, are wrong with you and kind of beating yourself up for being a shitty person, shitty parent, shitty all the things. And and that doesn't feel good. And that just adds added stress and takes so much freaking energy in that moment. And um picking and choosing the things, I think like when you said, Nancy, taking that moment to pause, just that
Mhm.
microsecond to pause
Yeah,
and
what do I
kind
need?
of, what is the point here? Like, what is the point?
Right, right.
What am I trying to accomplish?
Because we can lose track so easy with everything coming at us.
Constant. It's constant. It's with everything, right? It's with, you're at the gym and then you're doing your workout and then you're at a certain weight that you want to do 10 repetitions, but you can only do 5. And it's like, do I just, that's it. That's all I could do right now.
Yeah.
If I try to lift anything else, I'm going to hurt myself. And so 5 reps is going to be just fine right now.
Mhm.
Um,
It's better than nothing. And I think there's a balance around doing what you can and taking care of yourself, like the 5 reps, right?
Right.
Doing 5 reps instead of 10. But then there's also the slippery slope of just letting yourself off the hook.
Right.
So,
Right.
I don't I don't feel good today. I'm stressed out. I am tired today, so I'm not going to eat any healthy food. I'm going to eat just crap that feeds my soul and does not feed my body, right? So I think it's important to know where you are on that spectrum. Are you truly giving your pausing and giving yourself a break and giving yourself grace, or are you letting yourself off the hook and potentially going down a bad path?
And that is where that is a slippery slope. You're
Yeah.
right. And so being very conscious, like Nancy had mentioned earlier, being very conscious and taking that moment to kind of be curious and introspective where that thought is coming from.
Right.
Like what feeling is provoking it? Is it I'm just tired and I need some rest? Or is it um kind of desperation because I am stuck. Maybe I don't have the support that I need to be able to move forward. Um,
I think
maybe
that
I have lack of knowledge on how to, move on or progress or change things or make it better. Or I don't have a structure in place for myself to like a guide to follow. So making kind of adjustments for situations that I may be weaker in or situations where I may not be able to function in my full capacity or in situations where I may be stuck or plateaued or regressing instead of moving forward. So having a kind of like a curriculum for yourself in these things is really important. And you can apply it to anything, even to relationships. There was a point where Juan is my husband, we've been together for I think like 20, I want to say 27 years. My mental math is getting worse and worse by the minute. But anyways, when we were both kind of in our relationship, we both went we would make lists. I know it sounds super unsexy. It sounds very not spontaneous. It doesn't sound very hot. But we were having a mismatch in our wants, our needs, our communication, all that. And so and it was his idea. He's an engineer, by the way. So he's a very logical person, and I'm all over the place, kind of scattered and just, super, very emotional. And so we made lists of some of the things that we thought were could use improvement. And I was very resistant to it at first. I was like, there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing I need to fix. Everything is you're the problem. Of course, they're always a problem, right? But it gives so much insight as to, really what are your values, what's important for you, so that you can actually work on those things to get better results. And it made a big difference in our relationship because I was unaware. I was very unaware of some of the things that I was unsatisfied with, or some of the things that he was unsatisfied with, because we never delineated some of those things that were important to us. We just had no clue. So setting that structure, and then we did set an action plan. Okay, so we're gonna, you know, make this better by doing this by, you know, in 3 months, and then we'll check in and see, how we're feeling on things. And so it's like setting a little guideline for our relationship that we did way, way back in the day. But the same thing goes with, with trying to eat healthy, setting some realistic and specific goals that you're trying to reach and small little ways that you are going to m- reach those goals, but writing it down, planning it out, being very, very aware of what you're trying to accomplish, how you're going to accomplish it, by when you're going to accomplish it, to help guide you in those moments when you're ready to say, screw it, that's it. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just going to shove this whole piece of cake with two margaritas and some curly fries down my face because I'm not losing any weight.
And can I add into your that I love all that, and you're speaking to the project manager and me again. Setting a plan, what's the result, what's the timeline, but also knowing your why for each one of these, right? So when I get to that cafe and I'm sitting there in front of my laptop and I'm like, oh, I have to go back to my why. Like, why am I doing this? Because my clients need this, because the people who follow me need this. It is my free gift to the universe of, here are my thoughts, here's what's worked for me. And it's really important. It's an important cornerstone of my business. And remembering that why can help bring a little bit of motivation back in, right? Um, you know, for me, silly, but I keep a picture on my phone of when I was at my favorite weight. Um, and when I don't want to eat well or I don't want to cook dinner, I'm on a thing about like, why do I have to cook dinner every day for my entire life? Um, but I use that picture, like, what's my why? What's my why? Like, we're not going to order takeout and we're going to have dinner because I want to get back to where I was. So I often tell my clients, let's spend some time understanding your why and harnessing the passion around your why, whatever that is, and then using that in those times when you just feel like fuck it, right? And again, once in a while, it's okay to say fuck it, right? We don't want to there needs to be grace in this world. But remembering the why is such an important piece of it for me anyways.
Right. And I'm a visualizer and a feeler. So I love to take a couple minutes to close my eyes and just really get into that space when it's already done. And I just like to feel what that feels like
Yeah,
for sure. Plus, I think, when you're getting too many buckets, I think that's when it's a clue to reach out for support. Yeah. Have a
that's a
coach
really good point.
to just bang some ideas around with.
Right? It's wonderful to have your support team, your success squad around you. And it's also wonderful to have a coach. People really don't, I think, acknowledge the fact how important coaching can be for helping you get unstuck in any situation that you are dealing with. And I wasn't familiar with coaching, before the pandemic. Um, but it has made a big difference in really helping me figure out how to get in touch with some of those internal conversations that I have with myself over and over and really dismantling them and really figuring out how to change that internal dialogue to one that really helps me kind of move forward in ways that are important to me. And then another thing you had mentioned, Elise, and Nancy, you did too, about that sometimes it is definitely okay to have your moments of getting off plan or the moments when you do just kind of fuck it all and having grace and compassion with yourself because we are so stuck on perfection on perfection. And I see it all the time. I mean, as a primary care doctor every day, I do coaching on all of the things related to lifestyle. And sometimes really focusing on perfection when you're not perfect just leads to a paralysis of doing nothing at all because I'm bad. I always hear that, hey doc, I've been bad. I've been bad since I last saw you. You're not going to be happy with me. You're going to yell at me. And I never yell at anyone. I don't know why people always assume the doctor. I mean, if you have a doctor that yells at you, you need a new doctor, by the way. But um, I never yell at anyone. But that whole, of striving for perfection, and if you're not perfect, you're bad in some way. Like that is just so harsh. And thinking that you're bad at or because of whatever it is, your relationship, your diet, your job, your parenting, all of that, it doesn't lead to any good results other than shame And then nothing good comes when you do stuff out of shame. So it's okay to not be perfect, but you're right. Having too many moments of of just mindlessly going through life is going to make it that much harder for you to really have a good quality, your perp, get your purpose, accomplish your purpose, or meet your goals.
Yeah. I think what you both said about when knowing when to reach out for help and to have a coach um, or a therapist or someone, but we're obviously we're coaches and we do this for a living, and it is remarkable to me when clients come every day with things that have just consumed them to the point where they can't take any action, right? It's their fuck it. And working through it, it's usually not what they thought was the block or the barrier. And it's usually not a hard fix, right? You just need someone with objectivity to ask you the right questions, to help you identify the source, and to kind of work through some of those constraints and biases that we all have. I'm thinking of my this one client who is unbelievably successful and a trailblazer and is is taking on new challenges as a woman leader. And she can sometimes get very, very hard on herself to the point where she's like, fuck it, I can't do this. I got to quit this part. I got to stop doing this. And when we can talk through it, it's it's never as big as she thought it was, right? So the power of having that unbiased, questioning, curious person to bounce these things off of is just so important.
Yeah, I agree because when someone can either repeat your thoughts, repeat your words, take away the emotion from it, and kind of lay the facts out and being just very factual about the situation. It's hard for us to do that for ourselves sometimes because we get so emotional about all the things. And when we're frenzied in, overwhelm and frustration and anger and fear, like it's really hard sometimes to just pull out the fact of the situation, or sometimes even to the root of what started the whole dilemma. And
Right,
sometimes that root that snowballed and, grew into some huge drama was like something small.
right, right,
It doesn't even matter.
right. But you've jammed up your brain so much that you can't even see through that, which is why the power of asking those questions and digging deeper is so powerful.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, uh, this was very insightful, a lot of fun talking about when you want to say fuck it, when you want to abandon it, when you want to quit, when you want to stop. And I know we're going to have more conversations on this because this
Yeah.
is just a recurrent thing that happens as a human being that has, all of the emotions and that has ambitions and has goals and dreams and, functions in a environment where we interact with others. It's something that comes up very, very often. And it was so much fun talking about it with you all.
And it was fun, to get to say fuck it like 100 times in this podcast. There's something therapeutic about that, and encourage
I
all
feel
our
so much
listeners to
better.
just try it.
It's funny.
All right. Well, fuck it. Let's
Yeah.
go. See you guys next time.
Hey, one more thing before we leave. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. We are certified professional coaches, but this broadcast is not a substitute for medical or psychological advice. Okay, thanks for listening. See you next week.